You are a 14-year-old perfect honor student. Everyone thinks you're innocent and brilliant, but today you aren't holding textbooks. You're holding your mother's .357 Magnum. You're tiptoeing through the kitchen, hiding the gun behind your back. Your mother is in your bedroom, searching for your burner phones and vapes, never suspecting that her own daughter is standing behind her like a shadow of death. You've pulled the trigger, and now, using her phone, you text your stepfather, "Honey, when will you be home?" You've lured him into a death trap, and now you're just waiting for him to step through the door. You are a 14-year-old girl named Carly Gregg, an honor student at Northwest Rankin High School in Brandon, Mississippi. To everyone at school, you are polite, intelligent, and witty, but at home, you are living a double life filled with burner phones, hidden vape pens, and marijuana. Your mother, Ashley Smiley, is a beloved math teacher at your school, and your stepfather, Heath Smiley, is a kind man who has tried to support you despite your growing withdrawal. For years, you have struggled with dark thoughts and voices in your head, cutting yourself in secret to cope with the pressure of being perfect. By March 2024, your parents have noticed the cracks and put you on medication, but the switch from Zoloft to Lexapro just 6 days ago has left you feeling detached and spiraling out of control. On Tuesday, March 19, 2024, the mask finally slips when a concerned friend tells your mother at school about your secret habits. Ashley drives you home, worried and determined to clean out your room. As soon as you pull into the garage at 3:54 p.m., you both head inside, and while your mother begins searching your bedroom for vapes and phones, you take the dogs to the backyard. You are not panicked. You move with a chilling, calm purpose. You walk back inside, through the kitchen, and head straight to your parents' master bedroom. You reach under the mattress and pull out your mother's .357 Magnum handgun. You walk back across the house, holding your right arm stiffly behind your back to hide the heavy weapon. You stop at the kitchen entrance for a split second, checking to make sure your mother is still occupied in your room, and then you step inside. Without a word or an argument, you raise the gun and fire 3 times. The first shot hits your mother in the shoulder, the second in the neck, and the final shot is fired from less than 3 feet away directly into her face. She collapses onto your bedroom floor, dying almost instantly. Instead of running or calling for help, you walk back to the kitchen and sit down at the counter. You pick up your mother's iPhone, unlock it using her passcode, and text your stepfather, Heath, "When will you be home, honey?" You use her nickname for him to ensure he suspects nothing. When he replies that he'll be home in an hour, you send back a thumbs up emoji. You then FaceTime a friend and ask the most disturbing question possible. Do dead bodies make you squeamish? When your friend arrives, you lead her into the house and show her your mother's lifeless body. You tell her coldly, "I put 3 in my mom, and I've got 3 more for my stepdad." You then instruct your friend to go hide in the backyard and wait for the next part of your plan to unfold. You are now sitting in the kitchen, calmly waiting for the sound of your stepfather's car in the driveway, while your mother's body lies in the next room. You aren't hiding, you're humming and singing to yourself, occasionally checking the time. When your friend arrives, you don't offer an explanation. You simply ask her if dead bodies make her squeamish before leading her to your bedroom to show her the result of your 3 shots. You tell her with chilling precision that you have 3 more bullets saved specifically for Heath. You then instruct your terrified friend to go wait in the backyard, making sure the coast is clear for the final part of your plan. At approximately 5 p.m., Heath Smiley pulls into the garage, completely unaware of the trap you set. He has no reason to worry because he just received a "honey" text from his wife's phone. As he opens the door leading from the laundry room into the kitchen, you are already standing there, leveled and ready. You fire the .357 Magnum immediately. 1 bullet tears into Heath's shoulder, grazing his jaw and neck. Despite the sudden pain and the sight of his 14-year-old stepdaughter holding a heavy handgun, Heath's survival instinct kicks in. Because he is much larger and stronger, he lunges at you, and a violent struggle breaks out in the kitchen. As you both grapple for the weapon, more shots go off, hitting the walls and the ceiling. You are screaming, not words, but a high-pitched, wild sound that Heath later describes as demonic and unlike anything he's ever heard from you. Eventually, he manages to wrench the gun from your hands. The moment you lose the weapon, you turn and bolt out the back door, sprinting across the yard and jumping the fence. Your friend, who had been hiding outside, sees you running and follows you as you disappear into the neighborhood. Bleeding and in shock, Heath calls 911, his voice trembling as he tells the dispatcher that his stepdaughter just tried to kill him. It is only when he enters your bedroom that he discovers the true horror. Ashley is dead on the floor, her hands folded across her stomach and a red towel draped over her face, a detail you added to clean up the scene before he arrived. Within minutes, the street is swarmed by patrol cars. A deputy eventually spots you near a drainage ditch a few streets away. You look small, disoriented, and frightened, a complete contrast to the person who just executed a parent. As you are handcuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car, you start asking if Heath is okay and if he will survive, beginning the first steps of your defense by acting as though you have just woken up from a dream. You are now standing in a Mississippi courtroom, months after the shooting, facing 3 heavy charges: first-degree murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. Because you are 14, the death penalty is off the table, but the state is charging you as an adult, meaning you could spend the rest of your life behind bars. Your defense team has built a narrative of a psychotic break, claiming that a sudden switch in your medication from Zoloft to Lexapro triggered a dormant mental illness inherited from your biological father. In court, you look tiny and fragile, often seen crying or covering your ears during difficult testimony, playing the role of a confused child who has no memory of the violence. The tension in the room peaks when the prosecution plays the hidden camera footage from your kitchen. You didn't know the camera was there, recording every second of your actions. The jury watches as you walk calmly through the house with the .357 Magnum hidden behind your back. There is no sign of panic, no voices, and no confusion. They watch you sit at the counter, casually scrolling through your dead mother's phone to text your stepfather, honey, to lure him home. The most damaging part is the audio. You are caught on camera, quietly humming and singing to yourself, while your mother's body lies just a few feet away in the next room. Expert witnesses take the stand, and the battle of the minds begins. Your defense expert argues that you were in a state of derealization, where you didn't understand that your actions were real or wrong. However, the prosecution brings in 4 different specialists who disagree. They point out your goal-oriented behavior, the way you hid the camera under a couch after the shooting, the way you repositioned your mother's body and covered her face with a towel, and the way you used her phone to impersonate her. To them, these aren't the actions of a person who has lost touch with reality. These are the actions of someone trying to cover their tracks. Before the jury even gets the case, the prosecution makes you an offer. Plead guilty now, and they will recommend a 40-year sentence. It would mean you'd be 54 years old when you walk out of prison. Your lawyers leave the choice entirely to you. In a move that shocks the courtroom, you reject the deal. You decide to gamble your entire life on the jury's belief in your insanity. You sit at the defense table, nodding as your lawyers tell the jury you are a sweet little girl who just needs help, but the prosecutors counter by showing the jury your texts to friends. Do dead bodies make you squeamish? The mask of the honor student is being stripped away, piece by piece. You are now sitting at the defense table, the air in the courtroom thick with tension as the jury returns after less than 2 hours of deliberation. For a 14-year-old girl, the gamble of rejecting a 40-year plea deal is about to be decided. The judge reads the verdict: guilty on all counts. The jury has completely rejected the insanity defense, finding that your actions, the texting, the luring, and the cleaning of the crime scene, proved you knew exactly what you were doing. The mask of the sick child has failed to convince them, and now the focus shifts to whether you will ever see the outside of a prison cell again. The sentencing phase begins immediately, and the atmosphere turns even darker. Your stepfather, Heath Smiley, takes the stand. Despite the fact that you shot him and killed his wife, he speaks with a complicated mix of grief and remnants of care, describing the sweet little girl he thought he knew, contrasted against the demonic screaming he heard during the struggle for the gun. The prosecution, however, reminds the jury of the towel you placed over your mother's face and the singing caught on the security camera. They argue that a person who can hum a tune while their mother's blood is still wet on the floor is a danger to society that can never be rehabilitated. The judge pronounces the final sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Ashley Smiley. You receive an additional life sentence for the attempted murder of Heath, along with 10 years for tampering with evidence. At just 15 years old, your life is effectively over. As the handcuffs are tightened and the deputies lead you out of the courtroom, you are no longer the honor student or the grieving daughter. You are a convicted murderer, destined to be transferred from a juvenile facility to an adult prison the moment you turn 18. Today, you remain behind bars in a Mississippi correctional facility. Your defense team has filed appeals, claiming that the trial was unfair and that the jury should have been allowed to hear more about your biological father's history of schizophrenia. But for now, those appeals have changed nothing. You spend your days in a cell, a 15-year-old girl who will grow old and eventually die in prison, leaving behind a shattered family and a community still haunted by the question of how an honor student turned a .357 Magnum into an execution weapon.